overall in general, so that you can keep yourself up. Because when you get older, so a healthy lifestyle is not only about your physical well-being, it also has to include your mental health and where that is at as well. It also talks about your emotional well-being as well, so being able to control your emotions and being emotionally intelligent. It includes balanced nutrition, exercising, and proper rest and positive routines. And it is not something that you just do once in a while, it's something that you have to consistently do throughout your life so that you can maintain a healthy lifestyle. So, portion control is also another thing that I think needs to be talked about when we're talking about eating food. Portion control is all about, we could be eating the right foods, but if we're eating too much of the right foods, then it's not going to be good for our body because we're still eating too much. So we want to make sure regular physical activity helps improve your cardiovascular system. We want to make sure that the heart is readily able to work the way that it needs to happen. While I was there, I got to observe the cardiac rehab section of the physical therapy, and while I was there, they were telling me the stories of why people ended up being there in the first place. A lot of the people that were there ended up having to have heart bypass surgery or strokes and all these other things that resulted from them not having regular physical activity. Some of them were other reasons like stress and overworking themselves that brought them there. So we need to make sure that both ways that we're making sure our heart is functioning and that we're exercising that heart by doing things like going on walks or for the people who went to traction. I don't know if you have any people who went to traction, but there was, we had a speaker talk to us about the importance of sleeping. So sleeping, when you go to bed, or when you don't get enough sleep, you have the buildup of proteins in your brain called sticky proteins, and when you don't get enough sleep, basically your brain is not able to get rid of those proteins, which means that over time, these proteins build up in your brain, which is the result, which ends up or could result in Alzheimer's disease, which you don't know what that is. Alzheimer's is basically where you kind of like forget some things about your life and the people that are a part of that life. So you want to make sure that you're getting quality sleep so that the proteins that are there can be able to get cleaned out to prevent you from restoring energy. And the biggest part about having good quality sleep is that you want to make sure that you have a consistent schedule. So this means for my people who are still in school, make sure that you're still going to bed at the same time that you would on the weekdays instead of just, going to sleep about 1 a.m. playing like video games or something during the weekends. Because once you do that, that's why Mondays are usually considered the worst, because your schedule's already all the way messed up. And then you go back to bed and you're supposed to expect it to wake up at like 6 a.m. for school the next day. Your schedule's already gone. So making sure you maintain a consistency schedule is very important. Also includes caring for your mental and emotional well-being, managing stress, practicing mindfulness, and maintaining positive relationships contribute to inner balance. So, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about being in the cardiac rehab center, some of the people that were there because of the fact that they had so much stress in their lives that their heart and their mental health was not good, to the point where their heart they ended up having a heart attack from all the stress that they were experiencing. Then they had to have surgery. Other things that you wouldn't necessarily think would help with a really healthy lifestyle, but they do actually impact things like staying hydrated, maintaining maintaining hygiene, organizing routines, health impact for abusing your long-term health. While I was at school, I was taking a class called Human Body Systems, which basically was teaching us about all the systems in the body and stuff like that. And when we were talking about hydration connected to the urinary system, we learned a lot about if you're not drinking enough water, you're keeping the waste inside of your body. So you're not able, your body's not able to expel everything that it needs to expel, which could lead to later on diseases. So we want to make sure that we're drinking a lot of water. And these, as well as like fellowships or church, or even just going to hang out with your friends, is a good way to make sure that you are de-stressing and you're making time with people around you. Pero bueno, para mujer, porque igual mujer de una como vera, pues cada vez aku motivar corona stress também ficar tendo motivar Syria, na lugar saya mana relax, mostrando que eu ia wake up. When we're starting out, we might not be able to do everything at the same time and just immediately go into eating only healthy foods and exercising every day. You want to start out by maybe just deciding that you're going to take a walk. And then maybe a few days after that, you decide that you're going to cut off things like sweets or something like that. Type 2 diabetes, this is caused by lifestyle. So when you eat too much unhealthy food, your pancreas has to release a lot of insulin, and then your insulin receptors, they start to get worn out, essentially, which means that they are going to stop working, some of them. That's what type 2 diabetes is. Your insulin receptors are not accepting the insulin, which allows for a buildup of glucose in your bloodstream, allowing for high blood sugar and all that type of stuff. So you don't want to get type 2 diabetes because it's completely avoidable. You just make sure that you're eating the right foods and exercising. And insulin is also just really expensive as well. So that are on your heart, that are supplying blood to your heart in order to make it pump, because your heart is muscle. When you have coronary artery disease, this means that you have arteriosclerosis, or the buildup of plaque in the coronary artery, as seen over here. So this is from like extra glucose that was in your bloodstream that is now blocking the pathway and making it narrower. The problem with this is that when your pathway gets narrower, it means that your heart is not able to receive enough blood to make it pump the way that it's supposed to, and that's really dangerous because your heart is the one that's supplying blood to your entire body. So you want to make sure that you are exercising and eating healthy to prevent having this, because that leads to a whole other type of thing, heart attacks and all those things that don't want to have this. And I learned a lot about this more during my internship, where it's basically this disease where your bones become very brittle and easy to break because you're not getting the nutrients that you need. You need to, this is mostly associated with the nutrient calcium, so you want to make sure that you have a good source of calcium in your diet to prevent osteoporosis from happening, because it does cause a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and you don't want that. Another way to prevent osteoporosis is to do weightlifting. As I was talking about earlier, it helps not strain your bones as much because the muscles are also taking some of that weight instead of just making it in your bones, which also helps with this regular arthritis. Having extra muscle is also very helpful for preventing your bones from grinding on each other, which causes arthritis.
Most of us, we are advanced in age, but I don't know because here we have the doctors, we have actually we have even Congress